we are treating one of the most challenged saltwater surface water in our nation. My name is Kyu Chang, and I'm a Senior Advanced Technical Specialist with AE2S.
My name is Dan Portlock. I'm the Assistant Water Utility Director here at the City of Fargo. The Fargo Membrane Water Treatment Plant. One of the things that really makes this treatment plant, or both treatment plants, unique here is that we have a lot of different types of technology. We have two separate treatment plants. One that was built in 1997, that's a lime softening plant, and then a membrane plant that was built in 2018. And each one of them has very different technologies. Lime softening is more of a chemical process, precipitation type treatment plant. And our newer one, our membrane system, uses a lot more pressure to remove a lot of the salts in the water.
Yep. So the Fargo water plant, like Dan said, we have two independent water treatment plants, lime softening plant and membrane plant. But if you zoom out, this is really one plant, still one plant. And this plant has almost all modern technologies we're using in our nation to treat drinking water. So this is really a high-level demonstration project or facility.
We have really variable, source water with flooding and swings in the water quality, but also it kind of goes like this. So with the temperatures, the hardness, organics, we have, our normal, I think, TOC or organics in the water is 10, 11, 12 parts, which in the industry is considered high. Mm-hmm. And then, it can get up to like the high 20s we've seen in the water, which is extremely high and difficult to treat. Everybody kind of knows organics starts plugging stuff if you can't remove it in the water. So doing that stuff on pressure membranes, MFUF membranes or RO membranes, we do have challenges with, we want to keep this plant running 24/7. So we've tried a lot of things to reduce some of the fouling on those things, and I think we've done a really good job of it. But yeah, the river swings and hardness, temperature, TOC can be very challenging for the treatment plants.
Our water, like Dan said, coming to the plant, the organics, low end 10 parts, high end 20 parts. But our finished water now with membrane process, it used to be we get probably 3.5 to 4 parts per million for total organics. And now with membrane plant in place, and also Dan mentioned a couple of times, is we convert the filtration process at the lime softening plant to GAC filtration. That helped us to further reduce TOC level in finished water. So now our finished water TOC level around 2.5 to 3 parts per million. If you do the calculation, we're over probably 60% for regular days for organics.
Yeah, I think, I haven't been to, all the treatment plants in the U.S., but I think I've seen one or two that had tougher organics than the City of Fargo. But it was just one thing. It wasn't organics, inorganics, and temperature swings. It was like, like algae in Florida with high organic water, which I'm sure is challenging and stuff, but we have just like numerous things, not just one thing that we're dealing with. So. But it's very rare to have, I would say, tougher water than the Cheyenne and Red River.
If you look at full spectrum of water quality, we almost are treating a combination of groundwater, very hard groundwater, and with flushy surface water. So we have a high inorganics, which you measure by TDS or total hardness, and we also on the surface water side, usually you see pretty high organics. So we have both of them. So that's what I'm saying. We're treating the probably most challenging water in our nation, and we're delivering really exceptional water, consistent drinking water to the communities. In a way, AE2S, we started this project back to 2010-ish, and the whole project traveled almost 10 years before they really commissioned the new 15 MGD water treatment plant. There's many unique aspects with this project. I just mentioned a few. One is where to fit this project. Okay, it's going to be on the same campus, going to be a satellite water treatment plant. I have tons of study we have done with Black Beach on this, and with City, and finally land with this option alternative. And then we go through a 12-month RO path study, and I did that 12-month path study. Very thorough and comprehensive, trying to prove this big concept before the city put a lot of dollar into this project, and then go through 3 years design process and then 3 years construction, finish the plant. And if you zoom in, look at this treatment process, is how can we as a designer work with city make sure that our two things are achieved. One is the water quality improvement and the quantity improvement. That whole very complicated operation strategy, how can we design this plant, allow them the flexibility to run the plant to get the treatment goal for their drinking water.
A lot of people don't know this, but when it rains out, in the summertime, that stuff gets into the river, it increases the organics in the water. So for us to be able to test that type of stuff and be like, okay, there's a little bit more organics or taste and odor compounds in the water, we can turn stuff up, change our treatment process and stuff like that. Helps us to stay ahead of the game and helps us to have, I'd say, more consistent water quality going out of the residents. We don't want residents to notice when the river's changing. They just know it's the same thing all the time. It's the same taste and very consistent, high quality water.
Follow what Dan said, I call Fargo water treatment plant, I call this a smart plant. Now we're getting to an AI age. I feel like we're definitely prepared for next, probably decade of operation. The plant has so many features on the instrument. Okay, and Troy and Dan, they are very much about efficiency, quality. If you look at the plant, like Dan said, we have a centralized water quality station or water quality lab. And like Dan said, some other plant has a little bit here, a little bit there, but we have a very comprehensive water quality lab. If you walk through the lab, look at all the instruments, spend 15 minutes, you should be able to have a really good picture about today's operation performance. And here, I feel like now with so many years efforts, the plant really running the plant with the data-driven decisions. It's not just based on our, observation, pure, eyeball observation, or our experience.
Since this is a very advanced facility, you really need a team to dig into stuff. There's a lot of data, a lot of things to look at. Q brings some, really nice skills as a membrane guy. We have great people here that look into stuff, but not one guy can really dig into some of this stuff. So it really takes a team, and ATOS has provided, good support throughout, the entire construction process and, after the construction process. So